Hey guys, it's John McNamara, host, Running Vegas. We're talking local sports, business, real estate. If you guys like what you see, like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram at Running Vegas Podcast. And today, we got a special guest, Mr.
Some people say I'm special. I don't know if it's in the way that I want, but
Darin Marques, owner, CEO, Virtue Real Estate Group.
Nice.
In the house.
Thanks, brother. We're happy to be here, man. Excited to be back. Got the caffeine pumping today. I'm ready to go, man.
Yes, sir.
So
we had you on a year ago.
Yeah, we should be all done in about 7 minutes.
So excited to have you on. The cool thing is, like last time, we kind of got your background story,
Yep.
where you're from.
We
all
were
that.
just getting started. Yeah.
Just getting started. Virtue Real Estate Group. You were about a year into the brokerage, maybe a little bit more.
Yep.
And now you.
Tomorrow,
happy anniversary.
Yeah, thank you. Tomorrow's our second anniversary. It was my wife's Valentine's present. Just kidding. It wasn't.
I'm sure she loves that.
Yeah. I told her someday it will be her present.
That's great.
So, but yeah, no, we're coming up on 2 years, or tomorrow's 2 years, man. So pretty exciting that we've made it this far. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
Congrats. That's a huge step. And you're having super success with the brokerage.
Yeah.
Top 40 in the Las Vegas area. So congrats to you.
Thank you.
And I'm sure starting your own brokerage, there's some learning lessons.
There's a few. Yeah.
Some wins, So I kind of want to dive into that to learn, even though I'm there at the brokerage.
Yeah.
Kind of learn, like, from your point of view, like how the last year has gone since we last met, and dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's dive in.
All right, cool.
Okay.
So tell me last year. So what were some wins? What were some things that you really you learned?
Well, the number one win was that we made it through the year.
Yeah.
Right?
Big one.
Which was exciting because 2024 has gone down as one of the worst years in real estate in 25 years. So, I'm always a big believer, though. That's when the opportunities arise, starting during those slow times. And so, the win is honestly, man, just making it through the year. The challenges were definitely not having a lot of manpower and mostly doing everything myself. I was the accountant and bookkeeper and managing broker and still selling and, calling the copier company when there was a problem with the copier. So, that was some of the challenges throughout the year were definitely that. But I think that's like any business, man, is that you're always going to have your challenges. So.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us about that, because you've added some manpower to the brokerage. It kind of was like it seemed like, from my eyes, being on, in the brokerage for the last year, like about 6 months through year 2, there was a big shift of you adding people to surround yourself with. That it seems like some pretty good ads of leaders.
Yeah.
So tell us more about that, how the brokerage has really grown and taken to the next level.
So I've always got kind of the backward philosophy from probably most people. Like, most people start a business and then they wait till they get to X to add new people in and grow into a new building. I'm, me being with fitness background, I'm that type of mindset of like, if I want to lose weight and get in shape, I go buy those jeans or that shirt that I want to fit into as motivation. I don't wait till I get in shape to go buy it. And it was kind of my same mindset with the business, right? Like we grew into 7,000 square feet long before we needed 7,000 square feet. But my reason for that is because I want to build that brokerage to 250 agents. And I don't want to get to the point where we're busting out the seams and then people are frustrated and get upset. And I felt that same way with the business and with the staffing, is that, when I brought my business partner back in September and I brought a partner in, the whole reason for that was that, look, man, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to grow this business. And in order to do that, I need to have the right people in place so that as we grow, there's no disruptions, because there's nothing worse for agents. Me being a salesperson my entire life, I get it as well. There's nothing worse than having all kinds of disruptions and problems when you're trying to sell and then you're trying to deal with all these administrative headaches. So I wanted to make sure I had all the right people in place before we really put our foot on the gas and go. And man, we've been really fortunate. I mean, almost a little scary how some of these people came about, which have all been perfect fits. I was reading a book not too long ago, Entrepreneurship 2.0, and it talked about if you could look at your business and say that at least 90% of your staff are all the right people in the right seats, then you're on a good path. And I would say 100% of the people that we have on board and on staff are all the right people to help us move forward and grow the company.
Yeah. Yeah, kudos to you because I met you, gosh, about a year and a quarter ago.
Yeah.
And we originally met, and I don't know if we ever had this conversation before. So Darin personally coaches me one-on-one weekly as well. You've really helped me with my business. We'll talk about that later. But kudos to you because when we first met and I saw your like original office, I was like, we're not going here. Really like you. But then you took that step to build out the office, and then I could feel the vision from you.
Yeah.
And I was excited, because I was like, hey, we need, space, and you provided that, and that takes a lot of courage.
It's a deep dive.
Yeah,
a very deep dive.
Screw it. So, and we went off of that.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that a lot from you, and yeah, I think what you have added over the last 6 months with Coy as controller, Chris as the coach.
Yeah.
Seems like Kevin's doing a great job with recruiting, Michael in the front desk. So you've surrounded yourself with a really good team to really help continue to build the brokerage.
Yep.
So
it's kind of like reorganizing a sports team, right? Everybody's seen that.
Yeah.
And sometimes you go through challenges, you have your downfalls, your rough seasons. And then, you know what, you're like, okay, we need to revamp this. We need a whole new coaching staff. We need to bring in all the right new people, and you begin to rebuild that team. And that's where we're at now. We've got all the right coaching staff. We've got all the right people in place. And now it's just a matter of moving forward and growing it. So.
Yeah, and I've noticed too, just in the last couple of months, because it seemed like, just to be frank, it seemed like kind of, in terms of like agent adding on, it kind of got a little stagnant. But it seems like last couple of months, you've been kind of on fire adding agents. So what do you think like that shift was? What do you think is working for you guys?
Part of that was intentional. I had made the decision at one point last year. We grew really quickly last year when we moved into that new office. And that was part of the thing, right? Like it goes back to the old saying of like, you build it and they'll come.
Yeah.
That was kind of my thought process with the office. I'm like, hey man, I'll build it. I'll get it there. And then the people will come. And then we got to a point where I'm like, oh crap, I'm like way overloaded and I don't have the staffing to support what I need. So I need to pause for a moment and let's just kind of get our head above water and get caught up. And that's what we did. Was we paused essentially spring of last year. I paused from bringing any new agents on, just kind of held tight until I could start to get all the right things in the right place. And then once I had all the right people in the place again, it was pour the fuel on the fire and let's get going. And now we're cranking. I think we've added close to 30 agents in probably the last 60 days. So we're nearing 100 agents right now. And the goal for this year is 250 agents total. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredibly impressive because I've been a part of so this is the smallest brokerage in terms of numbers of agents.
Yep.
So it was kind of fun for me to do something new because I've been with all the big brokerages, all of them you can name. I got around town. But to add just 10 agents for those big brokerages that have a big name, that have been in business for, the franchises have been around forever.
Yeah.
They're probably adding about 10 agents to their company net, maybe, about 10 agents. And you're doing that 2 years
We've got
in.
a big goal, man. I mean, when we sat down with Kevin and I said, hey, our goal is 16 agents a month. And he looked at me and he was like, 16? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I'm not a conservative person. You know this about me. Like when I talk about numbers,
yes, I know this.
I'm not like oh, I'd be happy if I could increase 10% this year. I'm like, nope, I'm doubling. I'm going to go 100%. We're going 500 million this year. And it was kind of the same process with the agents. I'm like, if we set our number low, 4 a month, right? Which for most brokerages would probably be a good number. Problem is it's super slow growth and it's not exciting. And the other thing is that then if you don't hit it and you only hit 2, it wasn't that big a deal. So I'm all about setting big goals, man.
Right.
And I like to set goals to where it scares me out of bed in the morning and it makes me nervous.
I like that.
So, yeah.
Yeah, you can feel the energy, right?
Yeah.
Because some of these brokers I've worked with in the past, it's like they hit their mark, whatever, it's like 150 agents at a branch. It's like the typical branch, right?
Yep.
And then they just get stagnant and you can feel it in the energy. So I've definitely felt the energy just really pick up. About 9 months ago, and then it just keeps moving. And just the last few months, it's been really fun to see all the new. And then when you get just new blood in, it just makes it fun.
It's fun, right?
Because I'm competitive. So as soon as you tell me on the side, this agent's coming, I'm looking them up on Zillow. Oh, they're doing more business than me. I gotta
get competitive, man. Gotta get competitive. So.
But in terms of numbers, because I remember So deep dive into one of our coaching moments. I was sharing my business plan with you, and my goal for the year. And I've done a lot of units over my career, and this brokerage is a little bit more. Well, it's more about volume. It's a luxury brokerage, right? Yeah. So I told Darin, I'm like, man, I'm gonna do 24 million in volume. And by the way, my best year was a little over 18 million. So I'm hitting 20. This is good, right? And he just was quiet, which felt like an eternity, staring at me.
I was like, what, 24 this quarter?
Yeah.
Or...
And he just kind of laughed at me like, you could do a lot more than that. I'm like,
yeah.
Man, I'm not thinking big enough.
Yeah.
So it was great. So I really appreciate that because we're already at 13 million active pending sold.
That's awesome.
For the first
you guys are on fire
45 days.
Yeah.
Well, that's a big part of you.
Well, thank you.
The pushing us and then seeing the big board and seeing you take all those big listings. It's like, oh man. Well, I think I'm having a good week. I need that.
Yeah,
so
I need it
appreciate
too.
that.
I mean, I love it being back up on the board, and I know one of the agents right now just put a big transaction in contract at 9 million, and now I'm like, oh man, like I gotta beat. There's no way I can be number 2, right? Like I'm the leader, I'm the CEO of the company. I gotta be number 1. Like I can't. And so now I'm like freaking out, dude. I'm like, I gotta go get some deals and make some shit happen, man. Right. So yeah, but it's exciting. I love the competition as well. I'm very competitive. I may not always say that out loud, but deep inside, I'm very competitive.
Yeah, so. You're super competitive. And introverted too.
Yeah, very introverted.
I think your wife said that on the podcast. You thought you were introverted. I'm like, we got to get you to do a disc test or something. Yeah. I don't know. But. So besides, so we're having success. Yep. The Mac team is having success being at the brokerage. We really appreciate, but I don't necessarily want to talk about us. I want to dive more into, do you have some success stories of other agents that have been in the brokerage that have joined and, have kind of taken off?
Yeah, that was one of the questions I read today, and I looked at it, and I was like, man, I started thinking, I'm like, oh yeah, we got tons of them. I mean, number one, to your credit, you guys have done a great job. I love seeing, like, one of the greatest successes for me, man, is watching you close that $1.3 million deal last week. Now you've got a 2.2 in contract. Yeah. And that was just a matter of you and I having a conversation. I'm like, John, you need to step your price point up, dude. And the next thing I know, you made it happen, right? Yeah. Watching guys like Rob Leto, Rich closed his brokerage, moved in with us. And, there was some retooling there, right? Because it's like a whole different direction. You're changing what you're doing. You're back to being in sales. And, he's been working with Chris, and he shared with me the other day, he's like, dude, my business is completely shifting. And just watching that. And then Darin Melton. I mean, Darin had a really rough year. I hope he doesn't mind me sharing this, but had a really rough year last year. A lot of changes in his business. And Darin's a killer. And then to watch him come out number 1 this year and just like hit it hard at the end of the year and crush it. Yeah. And he's starting off. He's the one that just put the big deal in contract. He's double signing it. And I'm like, these are the stories I love watching, and he was at a point where he was just like frustrated. And we've all been there, right? Like I've been there in my worst times, and it's like, dude, that's one of the things that I enjoy the most now about the business is helping other agents when they're in their tough time, is getting through that. Jessica, that's on my team. I mean, she's a great example as well. I mean, Jessica's a killer, and she did really well this last year. Jessica, a year into the business, she came to me one day with like tears in her eyes, dude. She's like, Darin, I can't do this anymore. She's like, this was really frustrating year, and I don't think I'm meant for this. And I'm like, Jessica, you are meant for it. People love you. And I'm like, but are you ready to start doing what you need to do? And she was like, yeah. And I'm like, well, number one, you got to start being here every morning. You got to start doing this. Dude, literally the next day she turned it on. She was in that office the next morning, and then she's been there every day since. Yeah. And Jessica's just, I mean, this is her 3rd or 4th year in the business, and she finished at like 17 million this year.
Impressive.
So she's just, those are the things that I love seeing with the agents is watching them or just watch, a couple of the agents on my team, one of them in particular. I mean, dude, she's done more in volume in 3 months than her best year in real estate. Yeah. And it's really awesome to watch that.
That's cool. Yeah. Shout out to Jessica. She's been on the pod.
Yeah.
Beat the Mac team this year. So we're
got a little competition going now. I love it.
It's all good though. We're all friends.
That's right.
I like it actually when everybody does more business, because I know just naturally I'm going to do more business.
Oh, absolutely,
so
man.
I love that. So cool. So say you're an agent out here, or they're listening on the pod right now. They're looking at brokerages because, in terms of luxury, because I know a lot of the luxury agents, brokers in town. Kudos to you. One thing I really appreciate about you is like you're an open book, and you and I can just have we can talk about anything and just have normal conversations. But one thing I like about you is I can ask you questions, and I don't feel like you BS me, and you're just honest with me, and you give me really good information. Where I don't think a lot of other brokers in town would do that, and probably none. But so kudos to you. But say there's an agent out there that's looking to get in luxury or just join a new brokerage. What you would say the value proposition of your brokerage is, and maybe some advice to new agents out there as well.
I think the number one value proposition is that, I think a lot of brokers view a brokerage as like, hey, I'm here to look out for you. If you need something, contact me. But you need help on your deal. That's your job, right? You need help with this, or you want to sit down and strategize. Well, that's not really hire a coach. And for me, dude, I'm so excited about the business. Like, number one, I know we will be the number one brokerage within the next couple of years. There's no doubt in my mind. I've worked for two of the biggest brokerages and biggest teams. I know what works and what doesn't work. I know I can't do that on my own. Right? That can't be done just by me out there selling. I have to teach all the agents what I know and share with them my mistakes, what I've learned, what I've done that's worked well. And I am an open book. I can't wait for the day I go up against one of our agents on a $5 million transaction. The fact that they're even there, I'll step back. Hey man, it's yours. Like, go for it. You know what I mean? I love that part of it. I love watching everyone grow. I came from nothing. Like I didn't go to college. I didn't do all that stuff. I've had to work hard and learn through hard lessons. And so I love helping the agents grow their business. And I really look at the brokerages. I was telling somebody the other day, I said, I look at the brokerages like we're like the Army, right? Yeah. And we're all part of the same group, and we're all part of the same, we all have the same mission and what we're looking to do. And then within our Army, we have special forces. Yeah. And every one of those special forces have their own unique business models and what they do and how they go after business. And I love just being there to be the general and help support all of them and help guide them. And I think that's the thing that's different with me, man. I'll get in the car with an agent. I just did this 2 weeks ago. One of the agents that used to be on my team, he's independent now, and he calls me up and he's like, Darin, I don't even feel right doing this. He's like, but dude, I got an opportunity for a $1.8 million listing. Wow. I don't know what to say. He's like, would you go with me? I'm like, absolutely, dude. What time? He's like, 8:30 Saturday morning. I go, I'm there. And I went and helped him close the deal, and we got the listing. To me, it's all going in the same basket, dude. And I want the team to win, so I'll get out there in the field and play with you. And we're all going for the same goal. So yeah. I think that's the one thing that I would say sets us apart from everyone else. And I really, probably one of the biggest things I've learned from the brokerage this year is that the agents are my clients just as much as my clients are my clients, and that I need to listen to the agents. I need to treat them like customers. They generate income for our business, and so I think that's the other things I've really changed, even the way I look at that, and that's why I do want to help everybody. I want to treat them like customers and make sure they're happy, and that they want to continue to grow, and they want to stay as well. I don't want anybody leaving. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll say this because I've seen all the brokerages in town. The training's not very good.
Yeah.
So I know you have big aspirations to change that with your brokerage. You and I have talked about you having training programs in place in the future that are going to be coming on here in the near future. Mm-hmm. Also, you're creating a media room as well. So you want to dive into the training and also that media room to help out agents joining you here in the future?
Yeah, I think the training is the biggest thing, right? So I mean, we offer a lot right now. I mean, I do a Monday class at 11 o'clock. Chris, he's our great coach, and he's brought a whole new element to the business as well. So we've got a full-time coach, one of the top Tom Ferry coaches that's there in our office, helping people and instructing them and showing them what to do. So we've got that's already, which I think is probably a lot more than what most brokerages already offer. Yeah. And now we're starting to build out a virtual university to take the agents through a process where if it's a new agent just starting out, they don't have to be embarrassed about asking how to open a lockbox or anything. We're going to train them how to do all that stuff and get them ready for the teams as well. So that if a new agent joins your team, you don't have to go show them how to open a lockbox. We're going to train them for you and then plug them into your team. Get them all set up and ready to go. Again, like the Army, right? You're going to go through boot camp. You're going to do basic training. Then eventually, maybe one of these days, you'll advance to a more advanced team. And that's kind of the way that I look at the business now. So we're starting to implement some of those things. On the media side, I've always said my vision for the company is not that we're a real estate company like everyone else. We are a marketing agency that markets real estate for our agents. And that's really where I want to go with it. And I learned this years ago when I worked in the sports nutrition industry. A friend of mine was a lead sales or a national sales manager for Monster. And so I was asking her, like, man, how do you guys grow so fast? She says, Darin, we're not an energy drink company. We're a marketing company that happens to have an energy drink, right, that we market. Yeah. And I was like, damn, that's brilliant. Yeah. And so that's the way I look at the company now. And so by having the media room, by having we're building out a full media agency where we can handle an agent's email campaigns for them or help them customize their social media, help them shoot video, photography, all that type of stuff. We want to be able to incorporate all of that. And we have consistent branding and people that know the game versus where a lot of times agents will hire someone for marketing. They're hiring them outside of the industry. And then that person's calling them every day. Well, what do you want to post? Well, I don't know. That's why I hired you. Right. So, our team, they know real estate. Our marketing director, Rachel, she's been working with me for 11 years. So she knows the business. She knows what we're looking to do. And I think that's one of the things that really sets us apart even now as a brokerage and long-term sets us apart because I think the training is a key component. You look at I always relate things to professional sports teams, right? Or to the military. You don't just train one day and then go out and fight or go out and compete in a game and don't practice anymore. Right. You practice every day. Every day you're practicing. And I think that's what we can offer to our agents is that, hey, we're going to, I think I told you yesterday, I ordered that game for role playing with the agents. And dude, great. I'm so excited about that. I'm like, I can't wait to get that started so that we can all role play because I'm like, you know what? I know it even helps me. It's got to really help them. Yeah. Now, if we've had 250 agents that are finally tuned and trained, dude, we'll crush it. Yeah. So.
Well, you and I have been in business like 20 years, give or take, but I know myself, like, I know what to say and do. But when I'm actually like doing the role plays or doing the classes, the reason I do it is so I stay sharp. Absolutely. Because there is that complete difference because like people feel that when you're in sales because you're one of the best salespeople that I know. So you understand it, but it's like sometimes it's just those little details if you're on or not. And you kind of stutter a little bit or you don't sound as confident. People want people that are confident they can get the job done.
It's like a professional boxer, right? Yeah. Like they don't learn how to fight and then just wait for their next fight. Yeah. When they know that they're getting ready to step in for their next fight, they step in the ring and they spar. Well, why do they need to spar? They're a professional boxer, they're the best in the world. Yeah. Because they want to fine tune those things. And when we're not doing it every day and we're not practicing, I shared this with my team and that's when I realized role playing was so important, is that I've been out of sales for the most part for the last year. Dude, I did an open house. I felt like a new agent. I forgot to have people sign in. Yeah. They'd ask me questions. I didn't know what to say. Right. I've been in sales my entire life and I've been in real estate for 15 years. And I didn't know what to say, right? So an agent who doesn't get that practice every day, who's trying to get started, maybe they're only doing a deal a month, maybe they're only getting one or two listings here and there. They don't get that constant practice. Yeah. And so that's why we need to practice daily so that when they do, I personally also believe that we have a responsibility to practice and hone our skill so that when we show up, we are the best for our client, right? Yeah. Because that's what we're doing daily. We're training to be the best for our clients so that when we do get an offer and we're negotiating, who do you want to go up against? Yeah. Right? Who do you want representing you? Do you want the person who maybe once in a while practices, maybe once in a while they get a deal? Or do you want the person who daily is practicing and fine-tuned and knows how to negotiate and is being challenged every day by multiple agents? That's the person I want working for me. So
you don't want to be practicing on your clients, folks.
Never.
No, and the biggest thing I've got is pod of the last year because you bring up athletes a lot, right? Mm-hmm. Or the military. One thing I've noticed is super successful people that have been on the pod is like 99% of them used to be a former athlete.
Yeah.
Right.
Because there's a mentality there, right?
It's everything you're talking about, right? Like you practice, you know. You learn to lose, you fail, you get down, and you keep giving up, and you keep going, and you keep pushing. So,
and you got to be competitive. You got to have that instinct in you. That's why, even people ask me like, oh man, it's crazy. Why do you get up in the morning? And like, part of why I work out is partly because, yes, to get in shape and feel better physically, But a big part of why I work out is because, dude, when I step into the office at 8 o'clock,
Yeah.
like, who do you want negotiating your deal? Me, who's been up since 5 a.m., I've eaten breakfast, I'm trained, I'm ready to go, brains pumping, or the agent who was out till 2 o'clock in the morning partying
Right.
and hung over, and now we're going to negotiate a deal at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'll fucking crush them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'll crush. They won't even know what to say.
Yeah.
And so that's why I look at it. I look at it as I have a responsibility to my clients to train and be at the very best and the top of my game so that I can get what they need and I can help accomplish the deal for them. And I need to be on point for the agents as well, right? Because when a challenge comes up and they need something, I need to be finely tuned and ready to go.
Yeah, same thing for me, because back in the day, I used to, just like you, work out and, let's get the muscles look good.
Yeah.
Now it's like, I don't even care about that. I want that, like, the blood to go and
Absolutely.
I'm cranking. So I'm there at 8 and it's just like, I'm ready to go, and I'm not, like, still waking up, which is 95% of the agents in all of Las Vegas.
Yeah. I go 99%.
But anyways, so talk about your vision a little bit. 5 years out. We're looking at, we're back on this pod. We're talking about Virtue Real Estate Group. What is it looking like?
Oh man, I love this. 50 locations.
Wow.
50 locations. And obviously the number one firm in town and number one luxury brokerage in town. 50 locations, man. And it's a big number, but my reason for that, and I learned from one of my great mentors who was the former CEO for Berkshire Hathaway here locally, Marques. It was funny because every time and this is right when I was first starting, I'd get together with everyone and they're like, "Oh, Darin, what's your goal?" And I'd almost be a little shy. I'm like, 50 locations, and people are like, "What? Like, you're crazy, man. How are you going to do that? Like, to open up don't." And then you always hear this, "Oh man, don't grow too fast. Like, you don't want to grow too fast." And I loved when I sat down with Mark, because Mark is one of the greatest entrepreneurs, one of the biggest thinkers in the world, extremely successful, sold, he'd built it to 42 locations. And I was kind of shy. I said, "Mark," he's like, "Darin, what's your goal?" And I go, 50 locations in 5 years. And he slams his hands on the table. He goes, "Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about, man." He goes, "That's what you got to do." He goes, you have to think big. He goes, "Darin, let me tell you why." He says, in this market, in the real estate market, there's going to be ups and downs. He goes, your vision and your growth your trajectory has to be so strong that you outpace the downturns. He said that was the one thing I did in growing the business. He goes, every year, no matter, even there was downturns in the market, overall the company grew because we were growing so fast that we were outpacing the market. And so, that was reassurance for me that I was on the right path with what I was looking for. And that is part of my vision, man. We've got it. And I've done that consistently for the last 5 years with my team. We haven't worried about the market. We don't care what the market is. Last year was the worst year in real estate. We had our record year as a team, and we broke 200 million as a brokerage in our second year of real estate, or second year as a broker. So, to me, I don't get caught up in the market. I don't worry about interest rates. I don't worry about all that bullshit. That's just a part. Any sales and real estate agents act like it's only in real estate. Every industry you work in as a salesperson, you have your ups and downs and there's cycles, and you have to be a salesperson and not an order taker to get out there and work hard. And when you, as a salesperson, you have to find the opportunities in the market to, again, offset those downturns.
Yeah. And one thing I'd really recommend out, because I wouldn't work with somebody who wasn't, because you and I were kind of born in one of the worst real estate markets of all time.
Yeah.
This last market that's been bad, nothing close, by the way.
This is easy.
But I really recommend, if you're out there for a broker, somebody who's actually experienced it, because I love what you're talking about, because that's the time to take market share and build. Like, we never slowed down. We just ramped up and did more deals.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about the 50, though. Are you looking like regionally, Southwest, West Coast, like nationally?
It would probably end up being nationally. Key markets, key luxury markets, obviously, where we would go into. Also feeder markets for us. I would identify what are our top 10 feeder markets that are feeding us. That way we can capture those leads that are coming in ahead of time before they get to our market. We're sending those to our own brokerage. A lot of it will be mergers and acquisitions, finding existing small brokerages that just need that help and that support to get to the next level. And we'll be that team that helps and supports them to get to the next level.
Awesome. Well, guys, we are going to wrap this up. I want to thank Darin Marques, one of the best brokers in town.
Yeah.
If you guys
next year, maybe I'll have my trophy. Best broker. No
I'll
kidding.
get you one, man. If you guys are looking for a great mentor, luxury broker, you're just looking to get into real estate, call Texas Man, meet with him, 15, 20 minutes. He will definitely help you out. He's a great mentor for the Mac team, so we really appreciate it. Guys, this is Running Vegas. John McNamara. Take care of yourselves today.
Awesome.